My name's Adele Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to this episode of Legally Clueless. If you're an OG member, I've got nothing but love for you. If this is your first time, welcome to the family. Better late than never. Hey, and you've chosen, is this the first? Oh no, I was going to say the first episode of 2025. It ain't. Psych. But welcome to the family. This particular show goes out every single Monday. On Wednesdays, we have the midweek teas where I talk about topics that I think will help you on your healing journey. On Wednesday, our newsletter also goes out. Thursdays, we have For Mannerless Women. That's going to be back first Thursday of the year. And Fridays, we have Ask a Therapist. That is a seasonal show. So what you need to do so you don't miss out on any of these awesome things is, number one, subscribe wherever it is you're listening to this on. And then number two, you can sign up for our newsletter. Link is in the show notes. And you can join us on our TikTok and our Instagram. A link to those pages are in the show notes as well. But let's jump right into it. Okay, so first and foremost, if you have not listened to part one of Victoria's story, you may want to listen to the previous episode 357, so that, part two makes sense. These are the things that you need to be doing. But if you've listened, then let's just get into it. We left Victoria when she was at her breaking point, physically, emotionally, and mentally, right? Now, in part two, I feel like what Victoria really takes us through is what it looks like to choose herself, and doing that in the context of an unsafe, abusive marriage with children. She's gonna unpack that. And I really think this part of her story is about movement across cities, countries, borders, and reclaiming her agency, right? We have a little bit of unexpected love that comes in, but also profound grief. I don't want to give too much away, so let's just jump into part two of Victoria's story. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
So now this is a recollection of what I'm told, that they called an ambulance. I was taken to Avenue Hospital. So when I wake up, I'm at Avenue at the ICU. And the first thing I ask them is, my baby okay? And they tell me the baby is fine. So they ask me questions just to ascertain that I'm okay. Yeah. And they tell me, you'll only be here this night. Tomorrow we'll take you to the psych ward. I think the psych ward was the awakening for me, and I was like, I cannot be here anymore. Avenue, now you cannot compare Avenue with Bustani. Avenue psych ward is where now there are mad people, there are people, should we say, who live in the alternative universe. There are people who nurses have to slap for them to just stay, behave themselves. And I was like, I cannot be here with these people. I am not these people. I have to do better for myself. And I promise myself that whatever it is that I'm dealing with, I have to get out of it, because this is not my life. So by the time I'm being discharged from Avenue, they still give me medication, because I needed to be on medication. But I went flush the meds in the toilet, and I decide, we are healing, but we are healing without pills. So I become intentional, now, just going out in the sun, taking care of myself. I was not really taking care of myself. I'm so heavily pregnant. I apologize to my unborn child. I am so sorry for all the stuff I have put you through. And this baby is resilient despite everything. She didn't give up, because I was expecting one day I'll just be told, the baby is dead, or I'll have a miscarriage. There were too many things going on, too many medical complications that were going on when I was pregnant with this baby. But this baby made it. And the moment I saw her, I felt as if some light switched on. So I called her Nuru. That's my last born. And she's the brightest, most beautiful, beautiful. Like if you see my children, I'm not saying my children are not beautiful, but I'm just saying she stands out. My last born stands out. She fought to be here. In fact, now she's 5 now. She's 6, sorry. She's 6 now. Sometimes just in the way she does her things, and I'm like, you are always so fierce even before you were born. She is just a breath of fresh air. So it's now after she is born, I tell myself I have to turn my life around. I cannot continue staying here. And COVID comes around, and I'm like, you know what it was to be in a house with someone who you can stand, you know? Tulikosana. We really were not getting along. And at that point is when now I left. I left. Maybe I moved 40 kilometers away, looked for a house. I only left with the clothes on my back, by the way. Like our clothes, I'd already been told if you ever leave me, you're not leaving with anything. So I knew there was nothing for me to carry. So I carried clothes. I had some little money. I got a secondhand cooker. I went to a wholesale shop and bought a half a dozen of everything, 6 plates, 6 cups, 6, the basics, 5 mattresses. So we slept on the floor, but I got a big bungalow. Like the house where we were living in, it was a 3-bedroom bungalow, but it was small. Now with the kids, we went there when I didn't have any children. Now 4 kids later, we're still living there. It felt like a small hole. So I got a huge bungalow, which had no furniture. In fact, the moment my last born got there, it felt like they just started playing. The boys started playing balls. I have 2 boys, 2 girls. The boys are older. The boys started playing football in the living room. It was so huge, and there was no furniture. But there's a friend who donated a couch. We slept on the floor, on the mattresses, and then I used bed sheets as curtains. But it didn't take, like a month later, I had a fully furnished house by what? Guardian angels. Someone was upgrading their home and they didn't want their furniture. So I literally took everything from my house and brought to my house at throwaway price. Like, it was so nice. If you came on day 1 and found this empty house, then you come a month later, fully furnished house, it was perfect. Even the kitchen, like I had everything, all the gadgets I needed. I think it's only a TV that I didn't have. And my mom visited one day. She was like, "Oh, you don't have a TV and you have children." She went to buy a TV, got what do you call it? Go TV. She was like, "My grandchildren need to watch their cartoons." Yeah, that's how life started now, away from the marriage. And it's like that's all I needed. Because once I was out, I was very fearful, by the way. I was like, now we are out. I have to figure, I still haven't, my business was still very small, very, very small. But because it was during COVID, I was also baking and making deliveries. So I was making do with, my hands. You're told, what do you have? I had my hands, my skills. I could use my hands to do stuff. I could mix oils. Then I started teaching women how to mix the oils. Some women told me they would love to start like their skincare lines. Can I help them set up? That's how I made money. In fact, I made good money now selling the products at wholesale prices. By the time we're doing 6 months, I'd gotten a small car. I was well on my way, like on stability. Now I was good, but I was still very fearful, very, very fearful. I remember I was thinking about it on my way here, and I was thinking, yes, I was actually doing very well, but I was very fearful. I couldn't imagine not having rent, for example. But I've also just had guardian angels. There's this friend of mine who used to sell me 4,000 shillings every week. And she'd be like, whatever is happening, I know it's business and some days you make 0. Just make sure there's food on the table. And she sent it, even when I didn't need it, she continued sending. And sometimes in the beginning, I would tell her, oh, so the money you sent me, I went to the market and bought what. She was like, you know what? Don't tell me. Do what you want. Even when you don't need to use it on groceries, it's your money. do what you want. And it was my first lesson that I learned. You can help someone with dignity, because the people around me who had given me money up to that point, I had to suck up to them. Oh, let me not mention names, but especially family. Oh my goodness, you had to be this people pleaser because someone has given you money. This friend taught me, that's a lesson I have carried to date. If I'm giving you money, even if like there's someone I decided I'm just going to pay her rent, and it was for a while. And I told her, even when you have the rent, I have decided I'm setting aside this 10,000 shillings. If you want to go and eat it and finish it, it's yours. I've decided I'm giving you. You don't owe me an explanation, you know? Leave the dignity intact. So yeah, there were those guardian angels during that time, and things opened up. And but the co-parenting was not good, because now we were co-parenting after I left. The co-parenting it was very toxic, actually. It was very, very toxic. And there are many weekends I would just hold my babies and we cry together because their father said he's coming and he doesn't show up, or he's going to do something and he doesn't do. Then at some point we moved and we're now in the same neighborhood. So the school they went to, both parents, we had access to the children, but it was toxic. Let me just say, the co-parenting was very, very toxic. But at this point, then let's say 3 years later, I start dating. And this guy learns that, how he learns is, I'd given my son the spare phone to go with it to his dad, so that when we need to communicate, we can communicate. So this guy goes to my emails and sees email exchanges between me and the guy I'm dating. And he confronts me and I tell him, I don't owe you an explanation now. We are no longer together. Why are you bothered? And he says, no, legally you're still my wife. And that's when it hit me, by the way. We are apart, but you're never officially divorced. And that's when I decided I actually need to start the official divorce process. That's when I started putting the paperwork in order. But now he goes from, I want you back, and he tries to entice me with all the things I would have wanted. Oh, I'll get you a bigger car. I'll give you 2 million for your business. He told me many things, and for a minute I listened. And then I realized, no, we've been through these cycles over and over again. It will never work between us. And I told him. Then now he got angry. So he started stalking me, started stalking the person I was dating, even on LinkedIn. And the guy is like, who is this? And when you're dating, you don't even want to go into the X-Files so much. Yeah, it's enough that, yes, you dated. In fact, now I was married, but yeah, so it seemed, at some point, it actually seemed as if, are you serious? Like, you're not even officially divorced. Are you serious? Like, are you guys really over? And I'm like, I can never go back. Like, we are over. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so this is how now I move on from this and I start dating. And at some point, it became so toxic, our co-parenting, that after I'd left the country for some business trip. And when I came back, I found that the kids were not home. So he had taken the children, their dad had taken them, and he had also moved houses. So I couldn't go to his house and look for him. So I didn't know where the children were. He's not picking up the phone. The phone that I left my kid with and the house girl has been taken away, so there's no communication. So in this whole mess, I go to the cops and ask them, so what happens here? And they're like, the kids are with their father, yes. So how is this criminal? I'm like, it's not criminal, but I don't know where they are. I'm their mother. I don't know where the children are. I really need to know where they are. And they're like, those are not grounds for tracking a number or, looking for someone. So by good luck, my son gets a phone. Is it someone who no, they went to my sister's house, and he was not even using my sister's. I think the house girl at my sister's house is where my phone now, my son now finally gets a phone and communicates and tells me we are here. So when I first saw the text, I didn't even pay much because it didn't say who it was, and I was like, maybe this is not meant for me. So later in the evening, my son sends another message and now writes his name. I was like, oh my God, this is my baby. And now I asked him, is it safe to call you? He's like, yes. So I call him and I ask him, where are you? Auntie So's place. Now my sister's place. And I'm like, oh my God, how come nobody told me? And he says, I don't know. So there's like a sense of betrayal. How can the kids be there and nobody told me? And I've been looking for the children. Everybody knew. And you see now the fact that whatever conversation that was had between her and him, everybody knew our drama. Let me just put it like that. Everybody knew our drama. So if the children are in your house, I just felt you'd have just dropped a text. The kids are here. I was told this and that. It didn't happen. So there's a sense of betrayal in that sense. So I go see the kids. Now, what I didn't tell you is when I came back, when I found that the kids had been taken, I also found that everything in my house had been thrown out of the house to the back door, as in the back porch. How can I put it? All the furniture, all the cups and spoons were on the ground. Like you would have thought there was a hurricane in that house. So, in my mind, I thought, if this guy could do this in my absence, what if he got me? What if he found me in the house? He would have beaten me up or whatever. For me, it seems like it was done by a very angry person. So the decision I made at that point is, it is unsafe for me to be here. So I called people to take whatever they wanted. I just picked my clothes and I went and stayed with a friend of mine. So by the time I'm coming to see the children, by the time I'm told the children are in my sister's house, I am homeless. So I cannot pick the kids. Where am I taking them? To my friend's house? No. So I just went and saw them and decided I will celebrate the fact that I have seen the children. They are fine. I talked to them. They told me they are okay wherever they are. Of course, they were missing me. The house girl who they had gotten was good, but they were afraid because they had been beaten by their dad. But they were like, he's looking for a school for us. We've started going for tuition. So this is when I learned, okay, so he has no intentions of going back to the other side. Now, they were in a pretty good school. Like, had no reason for removing them from that school. In fact, the decision I had made to stay for us to be almost neighbors was because the school was good, but it was not a good decision. I don't think people should be neighbors when you're in a setting like that. It wasn't good. Anyway, so I saw the children but did not pick them up. So it took me another, I think, 2 weeks for me to be able to take the children. And now when I take them is when we go to the coast. Another friend of mine offered her house near Kilifi. We stayed for a month. Then he came back to Nairobi. At that point, I'd started receiving phone calls like, wherever you are, we can come for you. It's a private number. Then the lady said she's a cop, and I was thinking, okay, this is scary. And then when this guy meets my friends, he tells them, tell her I know where she is. And I've not told anybody where I'm staying. So like I became paranoid. So is this guy stalking me or tracking my number? I became so paranoid. And I was like, I was not feeling safe. I was not feeling physically safe. So by this time, I decide to get passports for my kids. And the day I get the passports, there's a voice that just told me, run. That's how we left Kenya. We left on a night bus to Dar. I just took 3 rucksacks. We left on a night bus to Dar es Salaam. We stayed in Tanzania for a month. After that, a friend was living in Mozambique, told me, you just come down. So we used, there's a Tazara train, a very old train. I think it's the oldest train in Africa. And it kept, maybe it goes 50 kilometers per hour. It was very, very slow. It kept breaking down, but I kept thinking, we are not in a hurry to get to this Mozambique. So even if it takes 10 days to get to a destination, it's okay. But it was just Dar es Salaam to Zambia. It actually broke down somewhere along the way, and it didn't even get to Zambia. So we needed to connect with public transports. I give a story in my book. It was such drama. We overstayed by 1 day in Tanzania. So at the border, the immigration officials gave me grief. We had been told we'll be detained. You know, they were so mean. That Tunduma border, I cannot forget. Then eventually, after like 4 or 5 hours, they're like, they give me back the passports. Then the immigration official asks for money. I'm like, I don't have money, and it's the whole reason we've been here all this time, because they were saying I needed $600 per passport. That's a penalty. I was like, I don't have that kind of money. I honestly didn't even have money beyond Zambia. I didn't know beyond there how we were going to travel. The money I had was not enough. So I just told them I don't have money, and I guess they could see I'm being genuine. So some earrings I was wearing, I always have some unique earrings, and she told me, give me those. So that was a bribe I paid at the Tunduma border. The earrings I want, give our passports back. So we passed the border, found a nice guy, this money changing people, Forex guy. He showed us where to sleep. He helped us get to the bus to Lusaka the next day. We get to Lusaka. I thought we would use the train now from Lusaka. It's not exactly Lusaka. The town is called Kabwe, to Victoria Falls, because I thought I would use trains up to Mozambique. When you go online, you think the train network works, but on the ground, oh my goodness. Like now in Zambia, there had been an accident on the rails, and they're like, we don't know when it will be cleared. So right now we're actually refunding money to the people who had booked the train, because it's been 4 days and we don't know when it will be cleared. So using the trains now became a problem. We needed to use buses, and Zambian roads are bad. They are so bad. And the country is big. You travel 15 hours and you're still traveling, you're still in the same country. So from Zambia, we went to Mozambique border. More drama at the border because we needed an invitation letter from someone in Mozambique, which my friend wrote. But when she was writing the names of the kids, she wrote, for my last born, she wrote that she was born in 2020 instead of 2019. That one mistake, it took us 4 hours to resolve, and then they don't speak English. So anyway, eventually it was resolved. It's a sleepy, sleepy town called Kasakatiza. There's even no electricity. We had to cross back to the Zambian side to spend the night, then come back the next morning. They only have one public transport vehicle that goes from this town to now the city called Tet, and it takes 4 hours. So when we get to Tet, I'm flat broke. Like, I don't have no money. And out of the blues now, my friends who knew what was happening, someone just suggests, let's just buy shishi lunch today. So people do a quick fundraiser on M-Pesa, and it felt like a miracle. And I get money. Then my friend from Mozambique says, now you're in Mozambique, so I can actually pay stuff for you. It's easy for me to pay. Like if you go to the bus, when you're booking the ticket, I can pay from my end. You know, it was easy even if I was not connected in their network. So that's how we get to Mozambique. From the border to Mozambique, it's 2 days. We get to Mozambique, we stay for a month. When 30 days are over, we needed to exit. I exit to South Africa. We get to South Africa, more angels on the way. I'm introduced to someone who was supposed to house us for 1 week. I end up staying for a month. And then she tells me, I'm not letting you go without a plan. So she rounds up her friends. They do a fundraiser. They get us a shared apartment. We live in this shared apartment for 2 months, by which time now our days, South Africa gives 90 days on your free what? Visa free. So 2 weeks to this expiry date for us to leave South Africa, I had been in a book club since COVID. And there's this guy we had been talking, but not seriously, like we were just book club members. So I post a photo on Facebook and he sees it. He inboxes me immediately and tells me, I feel like you're in my country. How can you be here and not, reach out? I'm like, yeah, we've been here, but we're actually leaving in 2 weeks. And he says 2 weeks is a long time. You should come visit my town. He was 1,500 kilometers away. And I tell him, no, I don't have a budget for any more visits. Right now, I'm just thinking about my next step. And he asked me, I'm like, I think I'm going to Botswana. He says, but 2 weeks is a long time. Where I am, there are nice places to take the children. You should come and explore the place. After a lot of back to forth, I'm like, okay. So I go. So we decide to go. I make the decision we will go. So as I'm checking for the buses to where he was, he's like, I cannot in my right conscience allow you to travel with 4 children in a bus. He books us return flights to where he was. And I'm like, who is this guy? Then at the time, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm getting into. But I'm like, what can a single guy do to a mother with 4 children? So then he calls. I think he was also thinking the same thing. He's like, I don't want you to think I need anything from you. I just think I've always thought highly of you. I would just love to host you in my city before you continue with your journeys. And then he sends me an Airbnb booking for the entire period of time we'll be there. He says this is where you're going to stay. Now, remember, you're coming from a shared. Do you know what a shared apartment is? It means you own the only place you call yourself is the room you sleep in. So it was me sleeping in a room with my 5 children. By the over there, I wrote this book. I wrote it like the nights. There are some nights, and it was winter. South Africa is so cold. You wake up to 1 degree in the morning. I wrote and wrote and wrote. As the kids slept, as we tried to keep up, there was no heating. So I'm like, okay. So we go, we meet him. In fact, the day we land is the day I was having my final hearing for my divorce. The day we land at 8 a.m. and my lawyer is, luckily Kenya, it's virtual court. So my lawyer calls and tells me, your hearing is in an hour's time. I hope you're ready. I'm like, yes, I'm ready. So in that 1 hour's time, he takes me to this quiet parking lot. Then he takes the kids. They go. So me, I have my hearing. We finish. Then as they are coming back, he tells me, as they are approaching, I see they are carrying many things. He's gone. He's shocked. Kids have balls, toys, whatever. I'm like, this guy. Wow. So we go, we check into our Airbnb. And we hit it off immediately. We were going through the same life situations. He was also going through divorce. He was a writer. In fact, had already published his poetry book. He was planning to do 10 countries by road. And I'm telling him, all I want to do is travel. I'd opened a YouTube channel and called it Wanderlust African Family, but doing nothing with it. So I tell him, I want to document the journey, Then he's like, then let's do this. So we start planning how we're going to travel together. And now we hatch the plan to travel throughout Africa. We plan in phases. We will do this. We will do the southern part, take a break, come back to South Africa. go to the central and western, come back, or, we had a rough idea how we wanted to do it. And this is how we start our life together. And it's bliss. Like at some point, the kids were asking me, because now they were calling him uncle. They asked, now Nuru, the last born, asked me, but mommy, he's so nice to you and he's so nice to us. Can we call him daddy? I'm like, daddy sounds, weird. You had a daddy. And they're like, so what do we call him? He's not our uncle. So I suggest to him, call him Papa, then his name. Then they're like, no, it's very long. Then I'm like, then just call him Papa. And Papa stuck. And he was Papa through and through. So he had gone for a trip. He had gone for a retreat. When he came back, and at the airport, they're running to hug him. They're like, Papa. And he looks at me. That's nice, And because he also loved the children. Like, if you didn't know us, you wouldn't know it's not their father. He was so nice. He reminded me that even after a very bad, toxic marriage, there are good men. There is love, pure and unconditional. Like, there are good men. A man can love you for who you are. A man can adore you. Like, literally, I say I felt like a queen from day one. He treated me so well. He loved my children. He wanted to know my dreams. He wanted, if it were not for him, this book would not be here. Because I remember at some point my laptop died. And one day he just came home with a brand new HP laptop. He was like, we are writing this book. You are finishing it. He used to tell me, I look at you like my garden and I have to nurture you. He loved farming. I have to nurture you. So if writing is what you've decided to do, then we are writing this book and you have to finish it. So it was so nice to just wake up in the morning and there's no rush. We wake up, kids are homeschooled. We decide what the day is going to be. He was working. He was self-employed, so he didn't have to go to an office, We go for our walks. Either we go where we lived, there was a beach not too far away, and there was also like a forest. So we can either decide whether we are going to walk in the beach or in the forest. Like it was just heaven, And it was like that until now. We started traveling from country to country. We left South Africa. We went to Namibia, went to Angola, went to Zimbabwe. We went to Mozambique. But in between, I had my own travels with my girls, like early in the year. This year, we went to Dubai, we went to Qatar. Where else did we go? We went to Malaysia, went to Cambodia, went to Thailand. So now we're planning a family holiday for his 55th birthday, which was in October. Then 9 days before his birthday, he comes home from his run. He was a fitness guy. He comes home from his run. And for me, I used to walk. I stopped running somewhere along the way. I used to walk for fitness. So I'd gone walking. He had gone running. He comes home. And I call him to tell him, I think I'm lost because I've taken a new route. I'll be a little late. Then I call a minute later I pinned him my location so that he can know where I am. I call a minute later to ask him whether he's gotten the location, and my son picks up the phone. And I'm like, where is Papa? He says, Papa has fallen down. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just spoke to him now. My son says, yes. Once he put the phone down, he just fell down. I tell him to put the video. He's fallen flat down on the floor, and I can see he's not able to move himself. I asked my older son, do you know how to do the safety position? He tells me no, but I'm really afraid he looks like he's in a lot of pain. So I tell him to go call the watchman and our neighbor. So they come, they lift him up and put him on the seat the neighbor asked me where I am, and I'm like, I don't even know where I am. I'm lost. This is Mozambique, where people don't speak English. And he tells me, ask anybody. I'm like, no, we can't communicate. So I gave my phone to a stranger to talk to him. And he's like, you're very far. Let's take him to hospital. You'll catch up with us. I was so far away, I couldn't even like hail an Uber. So they took him to hospital. By the time I got to them, it was more than an hour later. And then they tell me, we've been told the specialist who needs to see him is in the next hospital. So I tell the Uber guy to reroute. We go to the next hospital. So I get to the parking lot, and they are there, my son, my oldest son, and the neighbor and the watchman. And I'm like, where is he? Because he was not in the car. My son is avoiding my gaze. I asked my neighbor, where's Robert? And he tells me, come, let's talk. And I just knew it was bad news. So this guy, I had talked to him an hour later, and he was gone. You know, I just started wailing in that parking lot. I couldn't believe, like, what are you telling me? What happened? So I was taken to the morgue, and he was just peacefully lying there. And because he was a guy who loved joking a lot and pranking people, I felt like he would just open his eyes and tell me, got you, you know? But he was gone. He was peacefully lying there, and that's a memory I have of him. He just got a heart attack and he died. That's how my story ends.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. Wow, so part 1 and part 2 of Victoria's story done. And what I love about the stories that we have here on this podcast is we like to think of stories having a happy ending or being very linear, beginning, middle, end. But her story is still unraveling, it's still happening. And that's where she chose to end her story for us. Understandably so, because that grief is pretty fresh. So I love her story because it reminds us of that the people who come on this show are still living their stories, hey? And I have so many takeaways. But I think the one that I love is that she shows us that healing is not linear, right? Like you can find safety and you can still feel afraid. You can experience deep love and you can still face loss. And you can rebuild your life more than once, even when you're exhausted. That really hit home for me. And I just feel like Victoria's story also reminds us that, you know, when you choose life, that doesn't mean the pain disappears. It really just means that then you decide that the pain will not be the end of your story, right? But that's what I took away from it. This is one of those stories I will never forget. Let me put it that way. It's one of the stories I will just never, ever forget. But I want to know what you resonated with. So wherever you're listening to this on, drop a comment. I love to read through your comments. But thank you so much for listening to part 2 of Victoria's story. If this episode stirred something in you, be it grief, hope, courage, recognition, just know that you're not alone, right? And I hope you're able to find time through this festive season to reflect on what did choosing life look like for you, or what will choosing life look like for you, you know? And if you resonated with Victoria's story, please share this episode and the previous one with somebody who might need to hear it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode to the very end. I've got nothing but love for you. I truly think this is not just something I say it with so much conviction. I think you have every single thing it takes to heal. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.